In a forsaken cage, a circus tiger found herself abandoned, enduring a myriad of infections. Those who laid eyes upon her believed her time was limited to mere days. However, fortune smiled upon her as Vicky, a compassionate rescuer, stumbled upon the scene and made a resolute decision to intervene. But had her intervention come too late? Could this magnificent creature defy the odds and reclaim her life? Throughout her upbringing, Vicky's adoration for animals blossomed. Impelled by an innate desire to alleviate their suffering, she found solace in extending her nurturing hand to creatures who could not readily fend for themselves. The roots of Vicky's profound affection for animals took hold when she selflessly rescued a stray dog, unobtrusively seeking solace on her front yard, an unmistakable plea for a loving home. With matted fur and a visible hunger gnawing at its frail body, the wretched creature stood before them, afflicted by a multitude of open sores. As a mere 8-year-old, Vicky's compassionate spirit prevailed, promising the ailing dog that she would mend its wounds and restore its vitality. Yet, upon bringing the poor soul inside, her parents erupted in a furious outcry, demanding that the sickly canine be removed from their abode. Unyielding in her determination, Vicky steadfastly refused to comply with their demands. Driven by an unwavering determination, young Vicky was resolute in her mission to aid the distressed animal, unbowed by her parents' objections. They reluctantly sought veterinary care for the dog, yet despite their efforts, the canine succumbed to its ailments just days later. This poignant experience solidified Vicky's unwavering commitment to assisting animals in need, an endeavor that came as no surprise to her parents. Years later, at the age of 28, Vicky established In Sync, a wildlife rescue and educational center. It was during her work with this foundation that she first learned about the forsaken circus tiger. After 2 years of operating the center, Vicky and her team received word of Asia, the 6th circus tiger, and they resolved to bring her to their sanctuary for proper care. When they arrived to collect the tiger, they were astounded by what they beheld. Far from resembling a 9-month-old tiger, Asia appeared minuscule and ragged, resembling a mere 2-month-old cub. Asia's origins were rooted in a traveling circus that showcased a medley of performances featuring acrobats, trained animals, trapeze acts, musicians, dancers, and magicians. Their animals are trained to entertain the audience. For instance, the tigers are taught to perform uncomfortable and unnatural tricks, such as jumping through fire. Aisha also did this and other scarier performances. Also, life on the road meant that most of Aisha's life was spent in a circus wagon in the back of a semi-truck or a crowded stinking boxcar on a train or barge. This circus to which Aisha belonged also deprived her of her opportunities to fulfill basic needs such as roaming or playing around. Moreover, in a bid to entertain their guests, the circus used unprintable tactics to coerce Aisha to perform on cue. So, what may seem like a willing participant to the audience is in reality nothing more than a terrified animal that has been beaten into submission and forced to perform. Sadly, while these performers made money off Aisha, they didn't care about her well-being and physical wellness. So you can imagine what this tiger went through. To make matters worse, she was placed in a cage with a much bigger tiger who constantly picked on her. As soon as I saw Aisha, my heart broke into a million pieces. She was 9 months old, but she looked like she was only 2 months old. We did an investigation and we found out that the animals at the circus weren't receiving proper care, but something in particular was wrong with Aisha. Although it was uncertain what Vicky said apart from looking skinny, Aisha was also in a terrible state. She had open wounds on her skin, which were bite marks from the larger tiger she lived with. There were also spots all over her entire body, and her skin was cracking and bleeding. Wasting no time, Vicky took Aisha to the veterinarian who confirmed that the poor animal had ringworms. She was given proper treatment, and afterward Vicky took her to an isolated enclosure at her foundation. Vicky was often busy, that's why her staff was in charge of taking care of most of the rescued animals, but Vicky knew that if Aisha were to make it, then she would have to step in and take care of the animal by herself. So she canceled all her plans just so she could have time to be with Aisha. The circus tiger reminded Vicky of the stray dog that she rescued when she was 8, but this time around she was determined not to lose the rescued animal as she did some years ago. Each day, Vicky would go to Aisha's enclosure and give her medications. Aisha was very reluctant to take her drugs, but Vicky was understanding and patient with her before giving her the medication. Vicky would spend time with Aisha just so she could be comfortable around her. After taking the medication, Vicky would also sit with the tiger in her enclosure and tell her all sorts of things, hoping that she would earn the animal's trust. As part of her treatment, Aisha was required to take medicated baths daily. Sadly, the poor animal wasn't thrilled about it. Whenever it was time to have her medicated baths, forcing Vicky to chase after her. Although it was a bit trying to chase her around, I knew that she was going through a lot. It was devastating to see her run around in pain. I rarely just hoped that it would be worth it in the end. Vicky said, sadly, as each day passed, Aisha didn't seem to be responding to the treatment. At some point, the vet suggested putting her down, but Vicky refused. Every other person began to give up on the tiger, but I remained hopeful. Even though others didn't see it, I could tell that deep down Aisha was fighting for her life. She wanted to live, Vicky said. As time passed, Vicky earned Aisha's trust, and she began to show more willingness to take her medication. It was as if she could tell that Vicky was trying to help her get better, and somehow, she decided not to let the young woman's efforts go to waste. Vicky and Aisha's bond grew stronger with time, evolving into an unbreakable connection. Whenever Vicky was away for too long, Aisha's roars served as a heartfelt call for her presence. Responding promptly, Vicky would rush to Aisha's side, reassuring her with gentle pats and comforting words. As the days turned into weeks, Aisha's recovery progressed steadily. Playfulness returned to her spirit, accompanied by the gradual regrowth of fuzzy fur on her healing skin. Almost 3 months into her treatment, Aisha began to regain the much-needed weight, marking a significant milestone in her rehabilitation. Surprisingly, the tiger's aversion to water transformed completely. Aisha developed an affinity for it, to the point where Vicky even provided a small turban and enclosure for her to indulge in joyous splashes. With her weight restored, Vicky could no longer join Aisha within her enclosure. However, their quality time continued through engaging activities like playful interactions with a hose, ensuring their bond remained strong. After an arduous 8-month journey, Aisha's recovery was nothing short of remarkable. The once afflicted tiger had shed her ringworm-infested skin, revealing a smooth, pristine coat that had fully regrown. Transformed into a majestic embodiment of her species, she stood tall and proud, an awe-inspiring sight. Isn't it heartwarming to witness her stunning transformation? Undoubtedly, the world craves more individuals like Vicky, who wholeheartedly dedicate their resources, time, and affection to animals in need. However, Vicky's mission was far from complete. She yearned for Aisha to find companionship among her own kind. With this goal in mind, Vicky arranged for Aisha to be introduced to Smuggler, a male tiger residing in the rescue center. Despite his towering size, Smuggler was inexplicably drawn to Aisha, and Vicky sensed a unique connection between the two. Trusting in Aisha's ability to handle herself, Vicky allowed their bond to flourish under supervised playdates, eventually leading to their cohabitation in the same enclosure. Now, Aisha spends her days reveling in playtime with Smuggler. Her happiness radiates as she embraces the joyous moments of her newfound existence. Vicky marvels at the profound beauty of Aisha's transformation, from a feeble, mistreated cub enduring unspeakable torment to a splendid, healthy, confident tiger. Even more astonishingly, Aisha has developed an unexpected fondness for the very element she once despised, water. We would love to hear your thoughts on this amazing transformation. Feel free to share your comments in the comments section below. Thank you for your input.